Imagine a continent that holds 70% of the planet's fresh water, a place where ice towers higher than skyscrapers and cold can stop life itself. This is Antarctica. But what seems eternal is melting, and it's melting faster than at any point in human history. If Antarctica loses its ice, sea levels could rise by dozens of meters. Cities will vanish. Maps will change. This is not science fiction. This is our future if we do nothing. Antarctica, 100 years from now. What will happen to our world?
Quest for knowledge. Antarctica is not an empty desert of ice. It is a massive frozen engine that controls the climate of the entire planet. When you look at Antarctica from space, you see only white. But beneath that white surface lies a world we are only beginning to understand. 90% of all ice on Earth exists here. Nearly 70% of the planet's fresh water is locked inside this frozen shield. In some places, the ice is 4 kilometers thick, taller than the highest skyscrapers stacked on top of one another. Under the ice, there are mountain chains the size of the Alps, deep valleys, and more than 400 subglacial lakes, isolated from the world for millions of years. Some of these lakes never touch the air. They are sealed in complete darkness, under unimaginable pressure. Scientists believe that inside them may exist unknown life forms, organisms that evolved without sunlight, without oxygen, without contact with the modern world. Antarctica is not just cold. Antarctica is alive, a frozen archive and of Earth's past, and a key to its future. And as long as this continent remains frozen, the planet remains stable.
If Antarctica melts, the world will not drown instantly, but the process has already begun. Right now, massive ice shelves are breaking apart. Gigantic blocks of ice, the size of entire cities, are collapsing into the ocean. Scientists warn that if all Antarctic ice disappears, sea levels will rise by up to 58 meters. 58 meters is enough to redraw coastlines, enough to erase entire countries from the map. Cities that define our civilization would be gone. New York, London, Amsterdam, Shanghai, Buenos Aires. Millions of people would lose their homes. Entire cultures, history, memories, swallowed by the ocean. The warming of the ocean would not just flood the world. It would change weather everywhere. Hurricanes would grow stronger. Heat waves would become deadly. Rainforests would turn into deserts. Antarctica is a shield, and once we lose that shield, nothing will protect us from the climate chaos we created.
Antarctica is melting, not because of nature, but because of us. For millions of years, Antarctica remained frozen and stable. The ice survived ice ages, volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts. But it cannot survive us. In just 1 century, humanity has emitted more greenhouse gases than Earth naturally releases over hundreds of thousands of years. Carbon dioxide and methane trap heat in the atmosphere, creating an invisible blanket around the planet. 90% of that excess heat doesn't stay in the air, it is absorbed by the oceans. And the ocean is warming from below. Warm currents slip under the ice shelves, slowly carving tunnels into the ice. From the surface, Antarctica still looks untouched, but underneath, it is falling apart. Scientists says the water around Antarctica is warming 5 times faster than the global average. Glaciers that took millions of years to form are collapsing in a matter of decades. There is a point, a threshold, where the melting becomes unstoppable. A runaway chain reaction. Less ice means less reflection of sunlight, more heat absorbed, even faster melting. Once we cross that point, we cannot freeze Antarctica again. Not in 100 years, not in 1,000.
In 100 years, Antarctica may no longer be a land of eternal ice. If the melting continues, it will become something the world has never seen before. The frozen continent will reveal a hidden landscape. Mountains, rivers, lakes, and ground that has not touched the sun for millions of years. As the ice retreats, a new coastline will form. And then, something much bigger will begin. Nations will compete for control. Under the ice, there are minerals, metals, and billions of tons of fresh water. Fresh water will become more valuable than oil. The Antarctic Treaty, the agreement that protects this land, expires in the future, and several countries are already preparing claims. In one possible future, Antarctica becomes the last frontier of resource extraction. New ports, shipping routes, military bases disguised as research stations. Imagine a warm Antarctica with green valleys with rivers flowing where glaciers once stood. Scientists say it is possible. But there is another future. A future where Antarctica remains untouched, where nations agree that this continent belongs to no one and to everyone. The choice is not made by governments. It is made by us. Our actions today will decide whether Antarctica becomes a sanctuary of life or the greatest loss in human history.
Antarctica is more than ice. It is the Earth's memory, a frozen library of millions of years. Every layer contains the story of ancient climates, storms, and atmospheres that existed long before humans appeared. When the ice melts, we lose more than land. We erase knowledge that can never be recovered. The real question is no longer whether we can save Antarctica, but whether we are willing to try. The future is shaped not by predictions, but by decisions. And at this moment in history, every decision we make influences the world that the next generations will inherit. We can choose to remain passive and watch the world change around us, or we can choose responsibility and become the generation that stopped what once seemed unstoppable. If Antarctica disappears, we lose more than ice. We lose planetary balance, ocean stability, and the natural rhythm that protected life on Earth for thousands of years. But if we choose to act, even in small steps, we prove that humanity is capable of more than destruction. We are capable of unity, of courage, of change. And when history looks back on this moment, who do we want to be remembered as? The ones who watched the last wild frontier melt in silence, or the ones who chose to act? The future is not waiting. It has already begun. Antarctica is silent, but its silence asks the loudest question: what will we choose?
Thank you for watching the video. Like it if you found it interesting, and subscribe so you don't miss any new videos.
See you soon.